Alright, good day everyone. You're welcome to this section in this CSS3 course. So let's continue talking about backgrounds, and for this I have switched back to the index file I was using before. I think that's it here. So that's it. Okay, let me take out this typo. Okay, that's the file here. So I want to get started talking about background, and I'll be using this article to talk about it, this article element to demonstrate. So I can set the background, which we have seen, the background color to, I can set it to 3E4142. Let me set it to that. So that will apply that background color. Now, to illustrate what, we can also add padding, a padding of 30 pixels to it, and then a border of 5 pixels solid yellow. I want you guys to see it. So this is how we have styled it. So we can define, we've specified the background color. We can define the area that the background color will occupy using the background clip attribute. We can set it to just occupy the content, that's content box. So just set your background to occupy only the content, so it will only occupy the content area. You can also set it to occupy the padding, just up to the padding area, and then it will cover the padding. We can also set it to border box, and then it will occupy it, but the border there is masking it. So let me take out the border. You see that this one is going to expand. You can see it has taken up the shape of the border. So that's how we can apply background clips. The next is that we can also add an image, use an image apart from background, use an image as our background element. Let's say we go over here, let's see where we can. Okay, I have this ID. Okay, okay, this element has an ID of banner. Let's use it. So okay, we can also use this service. There's an element here that has an ID of service. Yes, section with an ID of service. So select by ID service, and then we specify the background image. So this is going to take, we use the URL function, and then you can put it in quotes or just like that. It's still going to work. I need that image, food.jpg. So that image is right here. So this is the image I'm using. So when I save and reload, you see that the background is being applied. This video here is not playing because there's no video file there. So it has applied the image to that element. So you can see that the image is kind of repeating, it's kind of double. So we can, if I set the height of this element to be 500 pixels, you will see it clearer. So you can see that the image is kind of repeating to the left and then vertically and horizontally. So I can set the background repeat. I can set it to I can set background repeat to repeat X. Maybe I need it to repeat in the X direction, so it will only repeat. You can see it's only repeating in the X direction. You need it to repeat in the Y direction, then you save, and then it will repeat in the Y direction. You don't need any repeats. You can specify no dash repeat, and then the background would not repeat, so it's just staying there. So that's the for the width of this. I want the width to be 700 pixels. So that's now the width of that element. Now aside the background repeats, we can also specify the size of the background. So we can say the background we can specify the size of the background as size. That's what I'm looking for. So the background size, we can set it to cover. If we specify a value, it will use that value. Let's say I set it to cover. It's going to cover the content area, so it's going to cover the whole body. You can set it to contain, and then it will only cover the area that it will only be contained in itself in the element. Then we can also specify a value, and then if a value is specified, it will use the value as the width. You can set the width to be 400 pixels and then the height to be 200 pixels. So that's how we want to specify the size of the background. So you can see it will use that value, 400 pixels in width and 200 pixels in height. So that's the background size specification. Then I've taken that one out. The other thing that we may want to specify is when the page is scrolled, how do we want our background to behave? Maybe we want the background to be fixed, or we want the background to scroll. So we do that by using the attachment, the background attachment. We can set it to scroll. So when I save and refresh, so you can see that as I scroll, the background scrolls with the page. But if it is set to fixed, when the background is set to fixed, if I save, what's happening? Save and then refresh. So you can see that as I scroll, the background is fixed. You can see the background is not here, it's fixed at that location. It's only when you get to that location that you get to see the background. So let's take out these let's take out this size that we've given to. Let's take out the width, so only the height remain. So okay, let's give this background a size so that it occupies more area. We want to see the fixing. So you can see that the background is fixed there. It's only when you get to that location that it shows up. So that's how we can specify the background attachment. Another one, there are so many things we can specify, is the position of the background. You can see position dash x, position dash y. So when we specify the position, we can specify the position for the y-axis. So we can say 100 pixels, we can say 20 pixels, So when we save this and then come over, I want this to scroll, and then come over here and refresh. You can see that this thing has been applied. 100 pixels from this location, 100 pixels from the right location, and then 20 pixels from there. If you set this one up to 120, so you see the effect there. You see it has jumped down to 120. So 100 pixels from the top and then 100 pixels. That's where we want. So someone can make something like this. You have your video here and then the image there. Use background position to position the elements. So that's what we can set. There are so many of them. Let's quickly look at how we can style links, specific styling that concerns link. And we have a link here, and I think that link is an anchor tag with a nav. It's a class of nav link. So for example, we want to remove the underline there. You can say text decoration. Remember, in our text class, text decoration none. I want to take it out. So when I save and refresh, that text is gone. Remember that this is not the only anchor tag I have here. There are others, but the style will only be applied to this one because I'm specifying that this anchor tag has a class of .navlink. So the next thing I may want to do is I want to give it a padding, because they are very close to each other. So if a user clicks here and here, for example here, you're already clicking on another one, so I want to give them a padding and space so that the user don't get into this place should have clicked it. So padding of I want to give it a padding of 10 pixels and then 12 pixels vertically and horizontally. So that's I've applied. I also need a margin. We've talked about this previously. Let's say a margin of 8 pixels. Okay, I don't need a margin on top. I need margin of 9 pixels left and right of each one of them. So that space has been occupied, has been taken. Maybe I need font size. I want font size to be 1.4 em, 40% increase over the default. And then I want font weight to be 400. What else can we want? Okay, we may want okay, I think that's cool. For now, let's save and see what we've got. So this is what we have. The next thing is I want, when a user hovers over it, I want something to happen. So I may say a nav-link hover. When the user hovers over it, this is what I want. First of all, I want the background color to change. Background color should change to EB456D. That's what the background color should change. And then because of that, the color also have to change. I'll use okay, if that changes like that, I can use F4 for F4. So that's what I want to be the color now. Okay, I think that's fine. So you can see when I hover over it, that is taking effect. That's only when I hover over it. Now this is not applied to this link, so that's just the way they are. So that's taking place. The next thing I may want to do is, for example, let's say you want to arrange these links to be stacked one on top of another. You just have to come over here and set the display to block. So these links will be stacked on top of another. So you can see they are stacked on top of another. You can see that there is no space in between this thing. You may want to separate one from another and say border 2 2 pixels solid. Let's just do solid. You can say, okay, let's use that color. And then when we save and reload, you see that is applied. So now border, I don't want like the way it's scattered all over, so let me just set it, limit it to the bottom, border bottom, so that will only be applied to the bottom. I think it's nicer this way. So this is how we can style our links. The next up is how we can style another list. So I have an another list here, so I can select the another list. I'm just selecting using the type. I think it's only one I have in this document, so I can set the list style. So list style, I can decide to use I can set this list style, I can set it to none, and then when we save and reload, you can see they are gone. I can also change it. I want it to be a circle. You can see a circle is applied there. I want it to be, there's also disk, and set, save. I think I've saved. System is quite slow, unusually slow. So I save and refresh. Can say that's a disk. I think there's also square. Square, yeah. So we save and then reload. So that squares are there. So the next thing we may want to do is we may want to style it. Maybe take out the paddings. Take out the paddings. Normally they come, no, this is not what I want. Padding 0 pixels. Maybe margin 0 pixels. So when I do triple D, when I do this, it's all gone. So my paddings and margins, padding 0, margin 0. Okay, my paddings and margins should be gone, but now it's all gone. So now I may want to style this. The list items and the another list, they are block level elements by default. Maybe I may want to stack this to be horizontally, so I will reference the list items themselves and then set their display to inline. This is going to set display every one of them are going to be stacked, so you can see they are stacked there. I can now choose to put a padding to be 5 pixels, and then margin to be 4 pixels. You can apply background, whatever you so desire. So they are all stacked there. So we can also put, normally you will find anchor tags, this another list being used to lay out the links this way, but I purposely decided not to use it. So this is how we've been able to style that, and we can still toggle our details here and it will be showing that way. So that's how we can style list. The next thing is we can also style images and form elements. So I have some form elements here. I have some form elements here, so let me pick out. I have inputs. I know one of them has a type attribute that is set to okay inputs of type text. So I can style it. I can set the border border to none. So if you look at this border, I don't need it to be there, so I set that border is taken away. Sometimes these elements can have outlines, can set the outline to none, and then it will also be applied accordingly. Now maybe you need okay, I don't need the border. Okay, I need the I think this is it. Maybe I want to give it a background dash color. I want to give it a background of 365. Then I want to give it a color of 1 2 F F F F. That's okay. So it has taken that when somebody is typing, so whatever you are typing can be seen. I can also give it a padding of 4 pixels and 8 pixels, so that it has taken that. Can also increase the font size. So just different rules for 1.2 em. So different rules for different specs. So now when I'm typing, the font is bigger. So that's how we can style this. Then I may also want to set by default this will display as inline, so I may want to set it as block. That's, I want it to be stacked one on top of another. So it's already set, the display is already set to block. So that's how we can target, we can style this input. I can also set the border radius. So border radius, I can set it to, let's say, 3 pixels all around each and every one of them. So you can see that there's a small rounded corner here. If I increase it to 13, so that you see the effect, so you can see that it has a small rounded corner. I can set the width. I can set the width to 70%. So that's it. So you have that style there. You have that style displaying there. So this background, okay, so that's basically how we've been able to style that. You can apply that to other elements. The next thing I want to talk about how we may style it is, okay, how we can style images, form elements and forms are basically that. So the next thing I want to talk about is how we can style images. Images are basically, you set their width and height, and that will be done. Let me bring in this image inside this document. So let me bring in this image inside this document. Let me just look for an image tag. There's no image here, no image. So let me come up here, then after my banner, okay, let me put the image here, this place, img src food, set that. The alt text that we talked about, a food image. So when we display that, we have our image showing there. Maybe this image, I can now target it. I can even use the alt attributes. So this is the only image that has an alt attribute. So I can even say an image that has an alt, any element that has an alt attribute. I want you to set the width for me. Set no system is slow. Set the width to 50%. That's the normal way we size image. Set the height to set the height. Okay, automatically set my height, and then that's it. Save. And then when we refresh, you see that the image is taking off 50% of the element there. So the next thing is that we can also make this image a bit. We can put like border radius on this image. We can set it to be, okay, let's set 12 pixels. You can also set in percentage. So when we reload, you see that the border corners has been applied to that image. So this is how we can also put the text align. Images are inline elements, so we can say text align right. So text align right. Then when we reload, we see that, okay, there's no text in there. There's no text in there. Okay, let's do float right. Let's tell it to float to the right. Tell it to float to the right, so it's moving to the right. So this is the this thing I talked about. You see the way I floated this to the right, and every other thing kind of, let me show this. See, when I float this to the right, every other thing moves up. It is as if this is taken out of the flow of the page, the normal way the page is made up of, and every other thing you display will be coming up. The way we do this, that we have that clear fixed class. Where is the class? Do we still have it? Is it still there? Okay, we can make another one. So we can make this clear fix again. Sorry, light is an issue this place, this side. So we can set this class using this after. That's after, wherever you drop this class, after it, set a width. If I set my display, the width is automatically display to be block, and then set my clear to both. I want to clear on both sides. Then content, very important. I don't need anything to be on the content, so I can come over to my HTML element and then come over to where we have, me widen this, come over to this element here and drop it. So class, I will put that clear fix, so it's taking up that class, and then when I save, you see that the space is now reserved, so the element is being cleared. So that's it for today. Do send your questions to the platform. like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.